Hello, welcome. I am Yael Tygiel, and I am sitting down with writing duo, the one and only Max and Monroe, who are Max Monroe. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us. First, I want to talk about Call Me Anytime.
Yes.
Hey.
They just dropped. I
Yes.
want to know, first and foremost, how big of NCIS fans are you? Because you seem to be very well versed.
Well, Max is actually the NCIS fan. I have watched the show over the years, but I had a little bit of catching up to do when we were writing Call Me Anytime.
Yes. If when you read the book, you a couple of the detectives, like Shane has seen the show and Dom has not, because
Yes.
Dom's not a big TV person. So I think that was kind of like helpful for us in a way of I have watched for a long time, and it really fell in there naturally for both of us, even with her not being like a long time watcher of the show. When we were plotting the book and when we were really kind of fleshing out the details of Sherry, Hannah's mom, it was really a natural fit.
Yeah, it was.
That's amazing. I want to talk about writing as a duo because I've seen on all of your social media, on your websites, you talk about how you just do write together, and I'm gonna assume that that means every book is different, and sometimes it's separately, sometimes together. But tell me about from the beginning. How did you find that you were a good writing duo as opposed to being like, I'm writing this. This is my brain only.
Mm. I think that's just what it was. Like, we decided to write a book together for fun. We both were in like hard seasons in our personal lives, and we were writing under our own names. We're aging us. This is going back like a decade. So we decided to write a book together more for fun than anything else. And it just worked. Like, we both naturally trust each other. So there was no ego involved. Like, if she would kind of, do some stuff to my chapters or I do stuff to her chapters, it's just like we always kind of saw it as we're a team in this, and the goal is to make the best book. And we also just kind of always have this challenge going on of who can, like, if we can make each other laugh really hard. So that's just, I don't know, it just kind of works for us.
It's a weird thing where it's like writer and writer, but also writer and reader, where, like she said, we are kind of, it's challenging yourself to, I wouldn't even say impress the other person, because we will send each other things in, there's no ego, in a state of like,
Yeah.
please help me, I don't know, just help me. But I think there's that excitement involved of like, she's going to read this as a reader. And if I
Yeah.
can do something that feels like magical to her, that it works, that it's keepable, that we're going to use this in the final product, it's like a fun little thing. And she's my best friend, so who else would I want to make laugh or have a good
Yes.
time more than her?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very clear that humor is the number one priority. These books are so funny. Literally, my book bestie hit me up and said she wants you to know that she absolutely loves the Billionaire Bad Boy series. She shared lots and lots of posts on her account, Where is the Spice, for banking the billionaire and scoring the billionaire. And she was
I
so
love
excited because she is a rom-com girly.
Yeah.
And comedy is literally what you write.
Oh, for sure. Comedy is at the heart of what we do. I think that's just naturally who we are. Now, we've written more emotional books, but you will still always find humor in them. Sometimes it's kind of the biggest challenge, which is why one of our most recent series, the Redbridge series, is definitely more emotional. But it's a challenge to take something that is emotional and see if you can add humor and levity into it. truthfully for both of us is kind of a natural coping mechanism we use, you know, just in like stress or grief, like trying to find humor and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
We like to surround ourselves with funny people.
Yes.
And so we try to surround ourselves with funny characters, and even funny people are going to go through tough stuff. And
Yes.
it's kind of fun to see how they handle it. And it's cathartic for us because that's us. That's, like she said, that's our coping mechanism for sure. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have somebody is designated to make sure that the humor is the funny part, or do you let both of you let both your humor really come through?
So we're both, yeah.
Yeah, it's both of us.
Yeah. Both of us are very involved in the joke making. One of our biggest problems is that we'll make the same joke in the same book.
It'll be so obscure. Yeah.
Because we have very similar humors. So but I will say, to that point, we do have different roles in our revision process. Sometimes one person's job, if they are in front in the revision process, is more based in you know, cohesiveness and plot and making sure we're filling all the holes and are the details there and that sort of thing. And then the other person is more of a finisher, and so they are looking for the writing, the humor, am I having a good time, or is this conveying what it needs to convey in a fun way? So we do have different roles, but when we are in the writing part of it, we are both, I mean, try to keep us from making a joke, and we just can't do it, I think.
And who is responsible, or maybe both of you, for the spiciness? Who writes the spice?
I mean, that's a combo of both of us. We've been in a little bit of a phase lately where we're preferring more fade to black sex scenes. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's from writing romance for like a decade. We tend to find like the spiciest is the lead up to the sex, right? So I would say that's more of our focus, is making it incredibly spicy leading up to the sex, but you're not going to get like 9 pages of sex after that.
It's whoever it falls on. We split this up completely differently for our first drafts all the time. We both revise the book. That's a standard part of our process. So we're both in every page, every chapter, every sentence, every part of it. But it really is just who it falls on, depending on how it's split up. But we both write it, unless my mom is asking, and then it's all her.
Makes sense. Right. Yeah. Your mom thinks you're a virgin, even though I'm pretty sure you have children.
I have two children. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's all her.
Speaking of the process, you were indie authors, and now you're being traditionally published. Talk to me about the difference between doing it all yourself and getting to a big traditional publisher.
Oh man, I mean, we're in the early stages of that, right? So we've had 2 releases with Entangled, and then Call Me Anytime is actually a Montlake release, which is through Amazon Publishing. So I would say for us, like, the experience isn't that much different in terms of marketing and writing the book. I mean, you go through different editing process depending on what publisher you're with. Do you think it feels different for us?
I think the biggest thing, immediately what came to mind here, is I think it's probably a bigger change for a solo author. But being a duo already, we are so used to a collaborative effort on all fronts, because there's always another person for us to be in agreement with and checking with and, taking a temperature from on what do you feel about this technique, or what do you think about this plot point? There's always someone for us. So collaborating with a publisher has been kind of natural. It's obviously bringing in another brain, or 6 or 7, depending on the team. But we love the possibility that brings, because it's always better to have more people thinking about something to make it the best product. So I would say for us, it's not as big of a change because we are already in that collaboration space than it would be for a solo. But also our publishers that we've worked with, I can't say that it's always this way, but our publishers have been great about caring about what we think, what we feel, staying true to our brand, staying true to our readership. So, that's made it easy.
That's awesome to hear. How many like resources do they provide you that you had to do or find yourself before you got there?
Oh, I don't know. What do you? I mean, I think that
we're doing everything on an indie release. Obviously, we're doing all of the developmental work on the book, all the editorial work on the book. We're doing all of the PR work on the book. We're coming up with a marketing plan. We are trying to work directly with vendors or printers like Ingram Spark, and we are making every effort. Versus with a publisher, their team they have somebody with publicity connections. They have somebody with a marketing plan, or giving us a plan of what they are going to do. I will say, having so much history in the indie side, we're still very involved. Even when they're doing things, we have our own plan or addition to their plan, or and they've been great about working with us about, what do you think about this plan? And is there something you'd like us to do that's other than this that you normally do? Or
I mean, I think one of the big benefits when you're with a traditional publisher, even something as simple as like, if you're indie, you got to do all your own uploading for releasing a book. And like you said, like Ingram Spark, if you're going to do paperbacks, you got to figure out all the paperback stuff. Things will come up. Emergencies will happen that like, this needs to be fixed. There's an error here. Sometimes your stuff gets lost in the ether of the internet. And it is nice to not have that pressure where it's just on us. And generally, a publisher is going to have bigger, stronger contacts when it comes to like Amazon or Ingram Spark or Barnes & Noble or Target. They're going to be able to get on that even quicker than when you're an indie. It's like, you got to hope you've got good contacts that can kind of help you get through those issues.
Yeah. Is there something that you learned now that you're with a traditional publisher that you were like, you know what, this is something I wish I would have known when I very first started with our first book?
Can you think of anything?
I'm trying to think. I will say, I mean, we've been around for a while, but so, you end up learning things, but there's always something that comes up. I can't think of something specific other than like, oh, well, actually the people that are in charge of selling books at Walmart or Target or whatever, it's this person, this third party, it's actually this. And like, you're like, oh, I've never heard of that before, like a new, but I would say most of the difference for us is on the print distribution side, working with a publisher, because that's a new space for the most part. I mean, we've done very limited print things on our own. So I think that's probably the biggest difference, where we've had a learning curve of, oh, that's interesting and new, and that's how that works. And that shelf space or whatever it comes down to, that's all a new vernacular for us. But other than that, I guess we've just been around so long.
I think we've been around
since the dark ages of self-publishing.
Yeah, before they had Kindle Fire, right? It was just like the Kindle, what was it? Paperwhite?
The basic. I don't even think it was a Paperwhite because it was just the original Kindle.
When you try to read it outside in the sun,
Yeah.
you couldn't see it at all.
Yeah.
We've been there since then.
Do you have any advice for maybe a first-time author, somebody who's just starting?
We
Yes.
have lots of advice, probably.
I mean, we could give you a million things of advice, probably. I would say though that the biggest piece I could give that I think is the most applicable to any author is just gird your loins for change and be ready to pivot. It is not a consistent career. And I mean, for anyone, it is not going to be, I've figured it out. Like the steps for something, the way to get it visibility, even like your dashboard, everything is constantly going to change on you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not like internally prepping yourself for just change all the time, get prepped because it will change. That is like the consistency in this career, and that's part of the fun. I mean, honestly, it really allows that creative bone to be engaged a lot, because you're always getting to think of new ideas and new fun things and new ways to do something.
I also think when you're a first-time author, like you haven't published a book yet, I think you got to first decide what your goals are. So if your goal is like, I want to write a book and publish it, that's a different goal than I want to write books for a living. I want to make it my career. So those are two very different goals. So the person that just wants to write the book, well, just write, keep writing. You might think you have writer's block at times, but you got to write through it. You're going to write some bad stuff and you're going to write some really great stuff, but keep writing. And then when you feel like you've got the first rough draft of your book done, now it's time to make the bad stuff the good stuff too. Like revisions is where we do all of our magic. We've been writing for a really long time. So our rough drafts, they're pretty clean, but where we really add in the magic is generally in revisions. The first rough draft is just to get the story down. That's the goal. And then if you're writing, you're wanting to, like you want to be a writer, that's your career, I would say consistency is going to be your best friend. If you're planning on self-publishing and you're wanting to be in the ebook space, consistency. You're going to want consistent releases. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you're writing one book a year and you have the pressure of that book having to move mountains. You just want to be consistent. Write books that make you feel good and keep writing books. Like it will get there eventually. Like we all start at the bottom with like maybe one follower, 2 for us because it was both of our moms, and you eventually start getting new readers, right? But you got to get your work out there first, and the odds of it being the first book are very slim.
Oh yeah,
very
it
slim.
happens. It happens, but not a lot.
Yeah, not a lot.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Call Me Anytime is a great way to talk about, making sure that you're consistent, you're putting stuff out and you're moving with the punches, you're changing as you evolve, as the industry changes. This book is, I feel like, more murder mystery than your previous books, obviously.
Yes. Yes.
Talk to me about veering into that trope and subgenre, because it's still a romance, but there's definitely a big murder mystery in it.
Yes. I mean, we would say it's a rom-com with a side of murder mystery. Did we intentionally go into that space? Not really. It was just the story. Like, we just loved the story. I think what really got us loving this book so much is putting Hannah in that position where she's taking that first call. She's so nervous, and it's the detective, and like she just assumes he's role playing, but he's like really trying to get details about this murder case. And then he shows up at her front door, and that's kind of what got us hooked on it, wouldn't you say?
Yes, we have a little bit of a problem. It's a personal issue with the two of us, where we really love the onion technique while writing a book. That's not a technical term. That's something we've made up.
Explain this to me.
So it's basically, have you ever had an onion, and if you're like questionable about onions possibly, and like you take the shell off of it, or the outside coating, right? And you're like, is that like the onion though, or do I need to take one more layer off? Or do I need to take one more layer off? And like, you get down and eventually you've got a small onion. Well, that's us when we're plotting. It's like, okay, you have the onion, and we're like, well, that's the story, right? But it seems like it needs something more. It can't just be a phone sex hotline and like she's a virgin. We take another layer off the onion, Okay, well, is that the onion? Okay, he's a detective. That's fine. But like, no, there needs to be more. So like, bring her mom into it, Okay, so we've got Sherry as the element. Take another layer off the onion. That's how we plot books. And
it is.
It's like we get into this place. I think it's a positive, because it's what makes our books so tangible and real world. But it's definitely an issue where we're like, that's not enough. We need something else. And yeah, we like to refer to it as the onion. And then, you've got the core of the onion left when you get done.
I love this metaphor. And I hope that helps writers everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it actually is the perfect metaphor, because sometimes there are tears involved when you are constantly trying to one up,
take off another layer. Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
That is amazing. Well, thank you for explaining to me how we got Call Me Anytime, which is out now, available on Kindle Unlimited, available everywhere. Thank you so much for joining me. If people want to find you on social media and they want to tell you how much they love not only Call Me Anytime, but Billionaire Bad Boys and the Red Ridge series, where can they find you?
Pretty much every platform. We're author Max Monroe, and then our website is authormaxmonroe.com. So that's pretty easy to remember.
It is. The only caveat is that we don't see Facebook messages, and we do see Instagram messages. So if you message us there, it might take us a couple days, but we get in there, and we definitely see our email or our contact from our website. So if you're wanting to have direct contact with us, those are the best ways. But you can pretty much find us everywhere. We're very diverse in our socials.
And you also were doing a podcast. Are you still doing a podcast?
We are. It's called Mediocre. I mean, we call it a podcast, but we just put it on YouTube. So it's a podcast.
It's not very professional.
It's not professional at all. That's why we called it Mediocre. So we do a lot of chats, just like with each other, just life stuff, book stuff, all of that. And then we interview other authors. So we'll have 2 new episodes dropping in December. So you can find that on YouTube. We've interviewed a bunch of other authors, really great authors. But you can find it on YouTube. I'm pretty sure it's just Max Monroe is our username on YouTube.
I think so. I think it's one of the only ones that's not author Max Monroe. But I mean, mean, we knew going into it that we wanted to have fun and do it, but lower your expectation. That's why it's called mediocre. So we have a lot of fun with it, but like if the writing got busy, which it did, we slack a little bit, but it's coming.
It's coming. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Much.